Got a chance to listen to Greg McElroy last night during the Sugar Bowl, and one of his takes was something about Georgia. Now, if you don't know Greg McElroy, he's an ESPN guy, former Alabama quarterback, who is won the national championship in 2009, and then a season later was on the 10-3 Alabama team that lost that game to Cam Newton and Auburn, the big comeback loss. But he's Greg McElroy has was a big Jake Fromm guy. Obviously knows Kirby from his time at Alabama when the two of them were together when Kirby was there. And what he said during the headline sort of speaks for itself. He said, "I'm sure people still want to replace Stetson Bennett, and that's crazy." Um, Stetson really played well against Michigan, and honestly, he's played well against everybody except Florida and Alabama. The issue most critics of Stetson's have is that he is about to play Alabama, not not about what he did. And here's where I'm at with it. We've talked about it a lot, and I mean, I think people don't want to hear about this anymore. They just want to say, "All right, can he do it or not?" The answer is he can, but he's going to have to play as well as he did against Michigan. If I don't think he's got to play better, I just think he's got to play that way. And this season for Stetson has been a roller coaster, a lot like the team. And I agree. I think changing him coming into the national championship game, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, particularly with how well Stetson played. Yeah, it's just this season he's thrown for 2,600 yards, a little over 2,600 yards, 64% completion rate. Well, that's lower than JT. He's thrown 7 interceptions. He certainly earned an interception the other night that didn't get picked. He's been sacked 9 times. Now he's played more than any other quarterback at Georgia this year. That's for sure. I think it's crazy to say to him, um, just to say there's no possible way JT Daniels could come into the game. Oh, I don't know about that, and that's not what he said. But this we have just gone around and around and around. But at some point, and I'm not sure when it was, but at some point, this just became evident that Stetson was the best fit for Georgia. Everyone's saying he gives us the best chance to win. That's just code for we like what we're doing with him. And against Michigan, you saw where he really makes you pay with his legs. Um, I thought what Todd Monken called the other night was brilliant. They just were. Michigan was totally flat-footed. They could not adjust. Stetson was getting the ball out quick. Um, Again, Stetson's been around since 17. This will be the second national championship game that he will have prepared for. He was invaluable. It seemed like a lot of hot air from guys like Dalvin Bellamy, Lorenzo Carter, talking about how difficult he made it on them during the Rose Bowl preparations in 17. But the truth is, they just saw what the rest of us have taken a while to see, which is his ability to run is exceptional at quarterback. I mean, Johnny Manziel was a very good runner. Cam Newton, um, Stetson's a better runner than Deshaun Watson. He's a better runner probably than Trevor Lawrence, although Trevor is a burst guy. He could score a touchdown from 80 yards away. Stetson's not going to do that. And Stetson's extremely intelligent. There are some guys on this team who are extremely intelligent guys, and Stetson is certainly one of them. He knows when to get down. I mean, he's not going to win a one-on-one fight with a defender. So I think Greg McElroy's point is correct. I'm sure people still want to replace Stetson Bennett, and that's crazy. I don't know why. In the fan base, I understand. You're talking about a fan base that is never satisfied, has been, on the precipice of something for more than a few times in the last couple of decades, and they've never won it. And so they're saying, "Oh, this is a huge chance and all this." But right now, I don't know when it was obvious that Stetson was the best player to play moving forward. It was not after the Auburn game or the Kentucky game, but and the Florida game pulled things back some to me. He didn't play well. I mean, it's just all there is to it. And when you have JT on the sideline, a very gifted player, I mean, it's not like JT's not good. So, but there was a point where I remember saying, I remember where I was when I said to one of the guys at Dog Post, I was like, I wouldn't change him. And it was later in the year, it was probably going into Tennessee or coming right out of it or something. It's his ability with his legs. Not that his passing ability isn't really good. It is. But let me just focus back on this one thing that we're talking about right now, which is, would you change this? No, absolutely not. I would not change it. That would be like changing, Fromm for Eason in the national championship game. Mark Richt made I think, the biggest mistake of his career. I was not a Grayson Lambert guy, but by the time they played Florida, putting Fatone Bauta in there was the definition of insanity to me. You changed something, but it was for the worse. So that made no sense to me in any way. And that believe it or not, Georgia's SEC East life was on the line. They win that game, and the rest of the season goes the way it does. They play in Atlanta, and that with that 15 team that got Mark fired. So it just, I Stetson's going to have to do it in the immortal words of DJ Shockley. I was walking down from the we were selling something at the bookstore the day of the South Carolina Georgia game in 2013. Now Georgia had already gone up to Clemson. Todd got hurt. Malcolm Mitchell got hurt, and they lose by 3. But Aaron didn't really play hot against Clemson, so of course all the grief was Aaron Murray. All the grief was on Aaron Murray. This is what it is. Aaron Murray has been a big Stetson guy too. Every former Georgia football player I mean, and I've been around the block for a little bit of time. They want Stetson, and so either something is happening behind the scenes that these guys have known him for the longest time. He's been around. He saved them at times last season, the Arkansas game. Um, that they just trust him internally, or it's just obvious with what's going on. I mean, on the field, it's hard to say that you could perform better than he did as a quarterback against Michigan. Um, let me just review what he did to the Wolverines. I mean, 313 yards of passing, and then he also went for what was that long run? He did not get sacked. Um, yeah, 20 of 30 for 66%, 313 yards, 10 yards a throw with 3 touchdowns. One was a 57-yard touchdown to Jermaine Burton, if I'm not mistaken. He had a 80-yard touchdown with James Cook, that same play that they hit Alabama on. But it just, James got caught from behind, which is kind of hard to. Maybe the throw wasn't perfect. But I'm going to his line against Alabama, against Michigan, because you can't leave out the run game with Stetson. He wound up with 3 runs for 32 yards. One of them was a 20-yarder. So every time he threw the ball, every time he completed the ball, it was for 10 yards. Every time he ran with the ball, it was for 10 yards. You're just not going to get better than that. I mean, that's just, he plays like that, they probably beat Alabama by the same score. And y'all can do what you do, which is this grief-stricken routine about negativity. But look, it's what it is, and you know he played as well that night as Bryce Young did against Georgia. I mean, I'll go back and take a look at that real quick if I can. Bryce Young really played well against Georgia. 26 of 44, 3 touchdowns, no interception. He had about 100 more yards passing, which, that's not nothing. And then, of course, he did the same thing on the ground. 3 attempts for 40 yards, it's a little bit more than 10. So Bryce Young played very well against Georgia, and Stetson played pretty close to as well against Michigan. Now, the question is not would you replace him coming into this game? The answer to that is no. That's insanity. No, that's not going to happen, and it shouldn't. The question is, can there are two? Can he perform like that against Michigan? Excuse me, against the way he did against Michigan, against Alabama? And if he does not, is there any point in time that you replace him against JT? The answer to the first one is yes, but it's not guaranteed. And the second one is it's totally possible that if you get into a hole and you feel like you need to change, you put JT in there. All of these things can be true at the same time. It's not that hard of a critical thinking to get there. So that's what I think. That's what Greg McElroy had to say. We'll see you over on dogpost.com. Make sure you're going to the website. You're missing out if you're not going to the website, dogpost.com. Thanks for watching.